Superman and Lois, Season 3, Episode 7, Forever and Always. Lois is finally feeling the brunt and side effects of her chemotherapy treatments as she sits in the bathroom late at night, throwing up with Clark sitting with her right by her side for support. Little do they know that the boys are still up as well and can hear their sick mom battle the side effects of treatment, which upsets them a great deal. Lois and Clark head to Hobbs Bay Medical Center for another round of chemotherapy. Jonathan tells Jordan that their parents are hiding something from them about what is happening with their mom. While sitting with Lois at treatment, Clark hears something with his super hearing and says he better check on the boys and leaves. Jonathan and Jordan are at the fortress and talk to the AI of Lara Lorvan, Kal-El's Kryptonian mother, to see if there's anything she or the technology of the fortress can do for their mom. Jonathan gets angry and frustrated when he learns Clark has never brought Lois to see her about the cancer and also that there's nothing she can do. Clark flies to the fortress and sees what's going on and is not happy, but Jonathan is pissed at Clark when he learns that he hasn't taken Lois there. Clark tells them both to go home and that they will talk about that later, and they do. The boys arrive home, but Jonathan is still pissed and trying to find whatever he can on the cancer diagnosis and goes through his mom's desk and comes across the paperwork of the power of attorney, last will and testament, as well as the other end-of-life paperwork. Natalie invites Mateo over for lunch to have him meet her dad. John Henry is having a hard time with Natalie dating, even though he wants her to have a normal life. He cleans up the place, changes clothes, and then goes out to get the food. Lana and the girls are at the diner for breakfast when Chrissy comes in to get a takeout order, which Sarah happens to notice that part of the order is the same thing her dad gets when he is with them. Sarah pops off at Chrissy with an attitude and Lana gets pissed at her. Sophie just stays quiet, but you can feel the tension coming off of Sophie as well. Chrissy tries to explain herself, but even as she does, things remain tense between Chrissy, Lana, and Sarah. As John Henry Irons is out and about, he sees Lana at Britton Dunn's. While there, he asks for advice, to which Lana tells him to be cool and not to rush to judgment about Mateo. He confesses that he's sad and scared to watch Natalie grow up. Natalie and Mateo's lunch with her dad doesn't go very good as John Henry Irons starts interrogating Mateo, which angers Natalie. Natalie and Mateo go to a movie since John Henry is, as Natalie says, short-circuiting. After lunch, John realizes he messed up and he goes to City Hall to talk to Lana about what happened. At the movie theater, Natalie and Mateo both show their love and affection for each other. At the hospital, Lois and Clark dig deeper into Bruno Mannheim and his connections to Hobbs Bay. Plus, we, the audience, see flashbacks of Bruno and Pia's life together before her diagnosis. We also see aspects of how Bruno Mannheim came into power and how Lex Luthor figures into Bruno's past. During a dinner flashback, they talk about someone named Moxie. Lois asks her friend a lot of questions, which makes her feel uneasy and not willing to speak to Lois anymore, so she moves away from Lois. After a while, Lois goes to her and apologizes and says she doesn't want to lose her as a friend. Clark goes to interview Bruno Mannheim and things don't go so great. Clark realizes that what Mannheim is doing is very personal to him, and he realizes that someone very close to him is sick and possibly dying. It is revealed to both Clark and Lois that Bruno Mannheim is Lois's friend's husband and that her name is Pia Mannheim. Pia rings the finished with treatment bell with Lois and Clark present, to which everyone says, "Screw cancer." Sarah is at her dad's when Chrissy shows up and they both go at each other for a bit until they both decide to go to a movie that Kyle and Chrissy were supposed to go to together. Chrissy and Sarah start loosening up with each other and bond about music and Coachella. Later that night, Lana and John Henry walk through town towards the movie theater. He sees Natalie and Mateo, and he has a one-on-one talk with Mateo, and Lana stands with Natalie and explains he's just trying to figure it out. Lana sees Sarah and Chrissy coming out of the theater, enjoying each other's company. Lana leaves, and Sarah sees her. John Henry tells Mateo that he is trusting him to treat Natalie right. Lois and Clark get home, and the boys really let them have it about keeping all this stuff from them. Jonathan literally loses it in front of his parents and brother and is scared to death that he is going to lose his mom. Later on that night, Lois and Clark talk to both boys together and tell them the truth. Lois tells the boys she's really sick and that, honestly, she's been trying to hide it from them and pretend like everything is okay even though it's not. They tell both the boys the reality and why they can't use Kryptonian technology at the fortress, and that they will just all have to accept what happens if the chemo is not enough. We see Bruno Mannheim at home with Pia, and we the audience learn that they have a child together, a teenage son, and it is none other than Natalie Irons' new boyfriend, Mateo. Lana and Sarah go and shoot off fireworks, and Jonathan and Clark watch the fireworks shoot off from their front porch. And that is how Superman and Lois Season 3, Episode 7, Forever and Always, ends. Wow. Just wow. What can I say about Season 3 so far that I have not already said? I mean, just when I think it has gotten as good as it can get, or be as good as it can be, the writers of this show are just like, here, hold my beer. You ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, this show, this season just keeps going and going and getting better and better. One thing about this show that is the absolute best is that even though it's a superhero show, they really keep it grounded in reality, especially this season. It was great to see Sophie again, even though it was just for a short scene, but still, it was good that she's in the episode. Now that Lana and the girls know about Chrissy and Kyle, we get a taste of how that is all playing out. Sarah really goes all out mean girl on Chrissy. Sarah has a mouth and a temper on her. Lana is just trying to get her head around it, and Sophie is more reserved about the situation and just stays quiet. Now that we know that Pia is the wife of Bruno Mannheim, and also Onomatopoeia, who is the villain with the sound manipulating powers, I am wondering how all this is going to play out. When Lois and Clark start digging even further into Bruno Mannheim, it jeopardizes Lois's new friendship with Pia, which Lois regrets and is trying hard to rectify that. I have to admit, during the lunch scene with John Henry Irons, Natalie, and Mateo, I was not at all surprised at how John Henry Irons would react to seeing his daughter dating. To be perfectly and completely honest, who can blame him? I'm not a father yet, but if I was the father of a girl or girls, I can honestly say I would probably be way worse than he was. I would probably have all my rifles, handguns, and other weapons out and just sit there in front of the boy, cleaning them and loading them and making eye contact with the boy every few seconds, not saying a word, yet saying everything with my eyes and actions, letting him know, you try anything foolish, you will freaking regret it. Like I said, I'm not a father, but I am an uncle to my best friend's daughter, and I can tell you, when she comes of dating age, me and her dad, my friend, will be sitting there together when the boy walks in doing what I just said, and I would be doing that to let her date know, you try something or say something we don't approve of, there will be nowhere on this earth for you to hide from us. I understand that Jordan and especially Jonathan are scared about their mom being sick, but I also understand why Lois is playing like everything is okay around them. She is trying to be strong and not scare them or make them worry, which is all understandable. As humans, we try to protect those we love. But Lois and Clark need to be more honest and more open with their sons and understand Jonathan's frustrations. But at the same time, I did not approve of how Jonathan was hijacking the situation and going to the fortress and literally interrogating the AI consciousness of Lara Lorvan. Then after Clark catches them and tells them to leave, they both go home and still not letting go of the situation. Jonathan goes through Lois's desk and they both find the power of attorney, the last will and testament, and other paperwork, and when Lois and Clark get home, they come out of the house and throw that in their faces. But I do understand why Jonathan did all that, and Lois understands that he is just scared. I mean, which that is true. Who wouldn't be scared in that kind of a situation? I know I would be scared if it was my mom, because my mom is my absolute best friend in this life. I call my mom my number one leading lady. But I just didn't approve of the way Jonathan went about trying to get answers. He should have had more faith and trust in his parents than what he showed in this particular situation. I may be reading more into this than what I need to, but I seriously think something is happening between Lana Lang and John Henry Irons, and I have a feeling that sparks are about to start flying with them and that they will get together in a relationship. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe they are just becoming good lifelong friends, but I still think it is more than that. I had a very strong feeling after learning that Onomatopoeia was related to Bruno Mannheim, that she is the same person who is Lois's cancer friend, and that somehow things would take a not-so-great turn regarding Lois and Pia, which I was right. But it cannot go on because she's a villain like her husband, and plus she attacked not only Superman, but Jordan as well. So now Lois and Clark have to find out what is really happening so they can put a stop to it. But I know it's all going to turn very ugly. And I was hoping that I would not be correct on this, but I was. Mateo is the son of Bruno and Pia Mannheim. I like him with Natalie together, but I hope that this is not just a ploy and that he is not a part of this, using Natalie for his mom and dad to get close to John Henry Irons so Mannheim can kill him. Really, I think Mateo's feelings for Natalie are genuine, but now I bet Mateo's going to have to make a choice, join his mom and dad in their mission and what they are trying to do, and kill John Henry Irons, or side with John Henry Irons to keep Natalie safe, since he loves her so much. This is all going to get very interesting. As much as the entire situation sucks for Lana, Sarah, Sophie, Kyle, and Chrissy, I'm glad to see that even as much as change hurts, they can at least find some type of common ground and all try to get along. But I can't say as though I would not feel the same way Sarah and Lana do at the beginning of this episode, but we as humans have to try and make the best out of shitty situations. Believe me, if anyone knows about shitty situations, it is me, because I have been in plenty of shitty situations, and those type of life situations suck. But at the same time, they are the best teachers, and they help us grow as people and humans, and we learn from our mistakes and help us hopefully become better people. Okay, so that's all I have to say about this episode, so now it's grading time. I'm going to give Superman and Lois, Season 3, Episode 7, Forever and Always, a shining A-. Here are my final thoughts. Now I know what you're all thinking. Wade, why are you giving this episode an A-? My reason is because I noticed something about this episode, and this is the very first time this has happened since this show started back in February of 2021. We did not see Superman in this episode at all. The show is called Superman and Lois, so we should have at least seen Clark in uniform doing a save or something at least once or in one scene, but we didn't. We don't get Superman at all, and that was disappointing. At least show Superman once in this episode. That was unacceptable to me, especially, like I said, since the show is called Superman and Lois. One of the best things I love about this show is in some episodes we see the funny and playful side of Lois and Clark, and we see a little bit of that in this episode as well. Lois is at treatment and Clark is there with her, and he sticks his tongue out at her, and she turns right around and does the same thing to him. It was just a cute, playful, funny scene between the two characters, and I absolutely loved and adored that.
Oh, you're lucky. He's such a caring husband. Clark's the best. My husband's the same way.
Okay, that's it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm going to say good night. God bless. I love all of you. Thank you all so much for watching. And since they said it in this episode, I'm going to say this as well to end this video because I agree with what they said in the episode. So my last two words are screw cancer.
Bruno, you have my heart. Forever and always.
Forever and always.
All right, let's ring this damn bell. Say it with me, people. Screw cancer.
Cancer.